Hello everybody, my name is Novi and welcome back to the channel. End of year lists continue today with my top 5 men's matches of 2024. To be honest with you, straight up, it was easier to decide my top 5 here. It's just compared to the women, it was a whole lot harder for me to solidify that top 5 in order. But I have it locked in, I have submitted the ballot or ready to go. Before we start though, I want to reiterate in this video what I said in my women's top 5 matches, and that's that this list is my opinion. It's all about which matches left a lasting imprint on me, which ones resonated with me the most this year. Wrestling is subjective, we all have different tastes and different things we look for in these matches, just keep that in mind. Now, without further delay, let's get into some honorable mentions. For this, I have a lot of matches to get through, so like before, we're gonna do a bit of a speed round. Bryan Danielson has 3 matches on this list, starting with his bout against Kazuchika Okada in the Tokyo Dome, one hell of a rematch. Then against Zack Sabre Jr. at New Beginning in Osaka, a technical masterclass. Lastly, against Swerve Strickland at All In, an incredible moment, no doubt. Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita from Revolution up next, just pure insane athleticism. Then, last of all, we have the BCC versus CMLL 8-man tag from Homenaje a Dos Leyendas, pure energy. Now we get on to the actual list, starting with number 5, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechicero from CMLL's June 22nd, Sábados de Coliseo. This right here was technical wrestling at its absolute finest, not just because the two in the ring are probably the 2 best in the world at the style, but also because this venue, Arena Coliseo, is the perfect place for it, which isn't something I would have necessarily expected going in, but it's all I'm left with after seeing the match. The energy in the room was palpable. At no point was there a gap in the noise, to the point where you could probably confuse this with a party match, which is insane considering it was based around, limb work. That's really credit to both these guys in the ring who kept this raucous bunch engaged the whole way through. It's not all that shocking that they did, of course, like I said, they're 2 of the best in the world at the style. It's just that the level of execution on display was something else. So much struggle on the ground, so much grace in the transitions, such high emphasis on the selling. It was all a beauty to watch in combination with each other. Then when the pace ramped up in that third fall especially, they didn't lose a step, they didn't let it slip, even for a second. In fact, I'd even say the work gets even better. Another part of this match that I love too is how they embraced the crowd with the work, making the match more about the pride of it all, rather than it being just another exhibition. They elevated the feeling of the bout to the level that the crowd willed it to be. That is something that only the best at this pro wrestling stuff are able to do. And it's why Hechicero and Zack Sabre Jr. slot in at number 5. Next, I have to take it inside a steel cage, with CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre's October 5th Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood slotting in at number 4. In the modern day, there are so many cage matches in wrestling, from the indies to AEW to even New Japan doing one this year. It's hard not to get burnt out on the stipulation. And I'd say that issue is most prevalent within the WWE, where at least one of their cage matches happens every year on, worst of all, a timed out basis. Hell in a Cell is a burned concept. It's been done to death, or so I thought. Right up until CM Punk and Drew McIntyre had themselves a war worthy of being inside a steel cage. There was no other way to do justice to the story they had built than with this match. They did so much to tell me that these 2 guys hated each other, that they resented one another even. It was crucial that I felt that through the screen, and I absolutely did. In part due to the gnarly bumps and the way these guys put their bodies on the line, the way the furniture in the match was used not to pop the crowd, but to hurt the other guy. But mainly, if I had to give any particular reason why I felt the way that I did, it was because of the blood. I am a sucker for some good color. Always have been, always will be. It adds so much to a match if it's used in the right way. And for this feud, the level they had built it up to be it would be morally incorrect for these guys not to bleed. It would have been unholy for either of these guys to walk out of that cage without the other person's blood smeared all over their fucking body. That's what these kinds of matches are all about. That's what Hell in a Cell should always be. And the way these guys executed that vision, the original vision for what Hell in a Cell should be, makes this my number 4 match of the year. Moving on, we have Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay from April 21st, AEW Dynasty at number 3. To me, this is a near perfect version of what the modern match style is. In one corner, you had Will Ospreay, the younger, more athletic talent trying to make a name for himself in AEW. Then in the other, you had Bryan Danielson, the craftier veteran, toughing through every bump and bruise for the love of the game. When they face off, that dynamic is fully at play, with Dragon trying to cut at Will Ospreay's agility and his speed, with Will then doing his very best to avoid him with said speed at every turn, making for a match where nothing feels without purpose. Both guys are operating with a game plan, and they're doing their very best to follow through with it, leading to that earned face-off towards the end, rather than it being just for some cinematic purpose. Again, these guys are following their plans, and those plans were always going to end with their finishers. Then they sell the story of the match so well, where maybe at another stage in his career, Bryan would have gotten the better of Will. But he's beaten down. He's a veteran with years on his tires, and while Will isn't some rookie, he isn't at that level. That to me works as a perfect finish to a wonderfully done match. Two guys known for their execution in the ring execute. And I'd say the way Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay's styles clashed was just perfect to me. Of course, that may be due to my personal bias. These could be my 2 favorite wrestlers of all time. But again, that's what this list is all about. And there was no way, given that, I wasn't going to connect with this. For all those reasons, Ospreay versus Danielson slots at number 3. Up next, we have the runner-up for 2024 Men's Match of the Year. And that's June 30th, Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay from AEW and NJPW's Forbidden Door. This match requires a bit of background to truly understand how important it was, so if you're not aware, I'm gonna explain it. Through the start of the year, Swerve and Will were easily the 2 hottest acts in the company. They would consistently get huge reactions on a level above anyone else, which then spawned a debate about which one of them should actually be the AEW World Champion. On the Swerve side, it was a case of making a star, cementing his world title reign in history. For Ospreay, it was about riding the wave of momentum that he brought with him coming into AEW. This was always going to be a tough choice for AEW to make, and many thought that they'd eventually go with Will at All In because it was his home country. However, they decided to squash these debates far before then at Forbidden Door, leading us to a match where the future of the company, at least the immediate future, would be decided. Who would AEW pick to fly the flag heading into a show with 80,000 in attendance? Who would they pick as their face? That story is the easiest groundwork ever to build an epic off of, and these two took it and ran. I really could go piece by piece and keep pointing out things that I loved, the transitions, the counters, anything, but I don't think it'd do the match justice. So I'll put it like this: the groundwork they laid before the match, the impact the result would have, and the way they executed each story beat within the ring was incredible. Cementing Swerve was a moment in time I'll never forget, considering his importance to AEW right now. And in fear of this becoming a place where I give any takes at all, I still think it was the right decision. Which then, of course, led me to walk away from this match excited for the future of AEW, knowing these two guys would be there. Everything about this match spoke to me, especially as an AEW fan primarily, and that's why it's number 2 on my list. Now finally, here we have it. My pick for the 2024 Men's Match of the Year is from March 3rd, Revolution, Sting and Darby Allin versus Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Or in other words, the final showtime for the Icon. So throughout these Match of the Year videos, I've explained that these picks are all about what these matches meant to me. And I'd say of any of the bouts we've covered in either video, That's no more true than when it comes to my connection to this match. Mainly because, and I'm gonna be real blunt with this, I was in the building. Of course it was gonna mean even more to me, but I promise I did watch the match outside of that, and I can say for certainty that it holds up the exact same when you watch it on a monitor. The best way I can describe it is that this match was a masterclass on building on emotion. People, of course, were so charged in the building for a match this historic because of the intro for Sting that will live in my mind forever. It was obvious that Greensboro was desperate for the Stinger to end his career on top of the world. And the Young Bucks, full credit to them, worked a perfect counter to that with some incredible heel work, where they basically just beat down on Sting after Darby, I think, died, which absolutely deserves its own special mention because, guys, I think that's the most insane thing I've ever seen a wrestler do. Which isn't to say that Sting didn't try to one-up him himself, because as a 60-year-old man, he was going through tables and glass just the same. But I'm telling you, it was all worth it because the way he would pop up doing his signature no-sell was special. The crowd losing their minds each and every time, which I contributed to, was special. Then the way his sons came out to do the Stinger splash into the corner to help him get the job done was special. However, if I had to pick one thing that contributes to it being my match of the year, outside of me being there, it would absolutely be that atmosphere. I've talked about it multiple times within this little description already, but it is one of the best I've ever seen in wrestling. You had this whole arena coming together as one to cheer the icon into the sunset. That is what solidifies this as the perfect retirement match, as well as one of my favorite matches ever. It featured moments I will never forget, not just because I saw them with my own two eyes, but because they were genuine examples of the beauty in pro wrestling. For all those reasons, that's why Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks, the final match for Stinger, is my 2024 Men's Match of the Year. With that being said, that's going to do it for the video, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video down below. While you're there, leave a comment with your thoughts on my list or even your own. And of course, subscribe to the channel as well, where we're always talking graps. This coming Monday, we will continue the list with my top 5 women's wrestlers of the year, and we'll close it out next Saturday with the men's. But until then, it's been Novi. Much love to you all. Happy New Year. Peace.